This video is sponsored by DamienSaber. Over the past year, I've designed a rather silly amount of Star Wars builds, so I thought that I'd take the opportunity to showcase a few of my favourite creations from the past 12 months, that otherwise wouldn't have made it into long form, in more of a personal video. At number 10, I have this awesome AT-ST design, which I built in June. It's slightly upscaled at about 1.5 to 1 blocks to meters, but I utilised that extra dimensionality to perfect the shaping and include insane detail. If you forget about the vanilla functions of certain blocks, you can start to use them simply for their unique shapes. Here I'm using stone cutters and grindstones to resemble mechanical gears and joints. A neat trick is that these anvils and carpets aren't floating, they're just sitting on string. A benefit of scaling up was that I had just enough space to include an interior, complete with a chair, windows, and a method for getting out again in survival mode, of course. Continuing with the Imperial theme, we have my AT-80 design from May. This vehicle is a classic, so recreating it faithfully was vital. I've received a lot of comments asking for a large-scale Hoth build, and I can confirm that this is on my radar for 2025. This build again takes advantage of uniquely shaped blocks wherever necessary, for example in the legs and laser cannons. I used a pressure plate to cover the scaffolding entrance to the interior, which includes storage, troop seating, and the control cabin in the walker's head. For number 8, I chose my pelta-class design. This recreation is 1-to-1 with a length of 282 blocks. And as you can see in the background, that's one of the smaller ships in the Republic fleet. I think that the pelta has a satisfying combination of straight and curving shapes, alongside a fair few angles that were a fun challenge to attempt in our block-based game. Exploring the interior, we have a detailed flight deck, and then corridors of barracks, canteens, medical bays, storage rooms, and VIP suites. Shout out to Lewis Plays, who's rebuilding this one in survival. I could never. If you've played Jedi Fallen Order or Survivor, you'll be familiar with the Stinger Mantis. Next year, I want to make more tutorials. 1 per month would be cool. And this design would definitely be a good one to do. Now that I've said it in a video, you guys can hold me accountable, so let me know if you'd want to see that. As for the interior, it didn't quite line up with what's in the game due to Minecraft's grid, but I did my best to make it as faithful as possible whilst maintaining the important details, such as the navigation console and the cockpit seating. I also made a flying variant for the ship. In June, I went on a bit of a helmet spree, and one of my favourites is this Darth Vader design. The idea behind my helmets is that they all have a modular stand that leads up to a small survival base within. At least this is what a creative-only player thinks a survival base looks like. In order to get a kind of shiny look for the helmet, I tried some pretty intense shading, texturing striped highlights across the top and along the left side. That was quite an experimental decision, but I think that it turned out great. And if you like this Darth Vader helmet, I think you'll like this Darth Vader lightsaber that was very kindly gifted to me by DamienSaber. I've never owned a proper lightsaber replica, and this thing seriously impressed me. First of all, the hilt is mostly metal, giving it a realistic weight and feel. Then the LEDs are incredibly bright. Like, brighter than the sun without the hilt on. You could use it as a torch. It almost broke my camera. But that makes it really fun to use and record in the dark. The saber came in a very fancy box, with locks, which kinda reminds me of an instrument case with its quality, and the hilt can be fully disassembled to reveal the kyber crystal core within. You can adjust the volume, the max volume being super loud. Lighting effect, my favourite being the rainbow blade, of course. Ignition mode, and sound fun, by pressing the button on the hilt for different lengths of time. And these settings can be changed much more easily using the Xeno Configurator app, assuming a stable Bluetooth connection. You can explore DamienSaber's products on their website, linked in the description, and you can use code tomonmars for a 5% discount. Starting off the top 5, I present my homing spider droid design, which I built in July as part of my Geonosis project. It might feel a bit silly for such a small vehicle to be ranked so highly, but much like my AT-ST, I seriously impressed myself with the level of detail. The central ball is smoothed with walls, panes, and even levers. The antennae were recreated with bars and chains, the legs are all angled, and the laser cannons utilize funny blocks. I don't know, it's a simple build, but a good example of how creative you can be despite Minecraft's limitations. At number 4 we have a channel classic, the Republic gunship. I've even got a tutorial for it. I love the little details like the cobweb for the Republic insignia and the accessible wall turrets. The use of melons on the front section is, in my opinion, rather clever because it matches the colour well. If I could improve this build, I'd probably distinguish the shape of the open doors a bit better. The interior has some standing room and some seating that doubles as storage, but there's certainly enough room to convert the whole build into a small survival base, especially considering the hollow top section. Inspired by the LEGO set, I also designed a Coruscant Guard variant of the ship in September. Up next, another helmet, Captain Rex's Phase 2 design. While this build would definitely benefit from some blue slabs, those unfortunately don't exist, well, at the time of recording at least. I don't think it detracts too much from the design there. I tried my hardest to include everything that gives this helmet its character. The markings, the weld marks, the tallies, the glint of the visor, and so on. And of course, it features the same modular interior from before. My second favourite Star Wars build from this year is my recent mega project, Kashyyyk, and there's a lot to show off. These towering Rosha mega trees define the landscape. Each one is unique and decorated with hand-placed assets. The landscape itself includes my best custom trees to date, and I had a lot of fun experimenting with commands to build up the background mountain range. There were a few vehicles built specifically for the battle scene, the multi-troop transport, Persuader-class tank, and Wookiee Ornithopter. Then some returning designs with new tough blocks added. The AT-AP, A6 Juggernaut, Droid Gunship, and Wookiee Jet Catamaran. And then, to top it all off, my 1-to-1 Venator, complete with a full interior, which I actually first designed all the way back in March. If you haven't already, I'd highly recommend watching my Kashyyyk video after this one, to follow the journey of how this project came together. Before I reveal number 1, just a quick reminder that all of these builds are available on my Patreon. Membership unlocks over 100 builds for instant download, and you can cancel immediately if you desire. I also have a Discord server that's active every single day, and I would love to see you there. My favourite Minecraft Star Wars build from 2024 was my 1-to-1 scale Acclimator class. Having started this project after completing the Venator, I had a much better understanding of the optimal process for designing such large vehicles, and I improved the concept in a few areas. For example, my Venator's hull was quite flat, so on this ship I added panels to break up the shapes. On my Venator, the trench details were done with a quick command, which was admittedly clever, but not as good looking. So for my Acclimator, I spent quite a few hours essentially hand detailing the greeballs, and well, the finished product is absolutely stunning, especially towards the stern around the engines. I also have a landed variant of the ship, complete with legs and ramps which reveal the staging area within. From there you can take these giant lifts up to massive hangars containing speeder bikes, walkers, and assault transports. This bubble elevator then takes you all the way up to the command center and bridge, all designed to be as accurate as possible. Hidden behind the interior walls, I even have a full reactor injection and fuel storage system. And that completes my top 10, but I'm not quite finished yet. Having done so much building this year, I have some honourable mentions to share. We've got my AT-M6 design, but that's not really Star Wars, is it guys? This Ahsoka bust that I built with Shu in September, only slightly uncanny. I also love this giant R2-D2. I upgraded my Millennium Falcon with a screen-accurate interior. Then there's the Geonosian Arena Beasts. I think that they're really impressive considering the scale. And my favourite non-Star Wars project from the past year was this upscaled cherry bonsai. Perhaps I'll do this video again for 2025. I'll be finishing my final year of uni in June, and I'm quite motivated to give content creation a go full-time. Let me know what your favourite Star Wars build of mine is in the comments below. Thanks again to DamienSaber for supporting the channel, and thank you for watching.